Apocalypto opens with one of its most memorable scenes. Jaguar Paw is hunting alongside his father, Flint Sky, and the other men of their tribe. They chase down a tapir, drive it towards a trap, and eventually bring the animal down. The scene is brutal, but there's something you might not have noticed. Listen carefully to the tapir. In the movie, it sounds almost exactly like a pig. But here's the reality. Tapirs don't sound like pigs. Instead, they sound like this. So I don't know why they made tapir sound like a pig. Because the internet is full of videos where you can easily find how tapirs sound. I mean, this wasn't hard to check. And that's not the only thing Apocalypto gets wrong in its very first scene. Look at Jaguar Paw's village, dense jungle, small huts, and a community that seems almost completely dependent on hunting. But historically, the Maya were not simply hunter-gatherers. Agriculture was at the heart of Maya civilization. They cultivated crops like maize, beans, and squash, and farming supported large communities across the Maya world. Instead, Apocalypto makes Jaguar Paw's village look almost like an isolated hunter-gatherer society with little connection to agriculture. So you'd expect a Maya settlement to show clear signs of agriculture, fields, cultivated areas, food storage, and other evidence of farming. And here is another thing. They don't even look like Mayans. They almost look like a lost tribe in Amazon more than Mayans. But the biggest historical problem with this village isn't what they're eating, it's where the movie places them. Look at the women. Many are shown wearing very little clothing, with their upper bodies largely exposed. But historical evidence suggests Maya women commonly wore woven skirts or wrapped garments, along with clothing covering the upper body. Now, some of you might be thinking, maybe they're not Maya at all. They look like a primitive tribe. But here's the interesting part. They speak the Maya language and communicate with other Maya without any problem. So yes, they're supposed to be Maya. The peaceful life of Jaguar Paw's village is suddenly shattered. Maya warriors storm into the village, attacking without warning. Men are killed, others are captured, and among the victims is Jaguar Paw's father, Flint Sky. As chaos spreads, Jaguar Paw desperately tries to protect his family. He helps his pregnant wife and young son hide inside a deep pit, hoping the attackers won't find them. But Jaguar Paw has no choice except to surrender when the warriors capture him. Now separated from his family, he is forced to march with the other prisoners toward the Maya city. Their journey is brutal. They cross dense jungles, rushing rivers, steep mountains, and dangerous terrain. And with every step toward the city, Jaguar Paw has no idea whether he'll ever see his family again. At one point, Jaguar Paw encounters a young girl. She's sick, covered in sores. Beside her, her mother lies dead, apparently from the same disease. But here's the shocking part. This is a clear case of smallpox. After mixing tapir sound with pig, now movie is showing smallpox here, and it works. Because we all know what smallpox did to the indigenous Americans, it wiped out millions. But wait, smallpox didn't come from the jungle. It came from Europe. It arrived with the Spanish, on their ships, in their bodies, in their blankets. Before European contact, smallpox did not exist anywhere in America. So if Apocalypto is showing us a Maya world decades ago, before European contact, a clear case of smallpox doesn't fit the timeline. It's another example of the movie mixing historical elements from different periods of Maya history. And there's an even bigger problem with the timeline of the entire movie. Okay, time to give credit where it's due. Because this one actually holds up. We see Maya laborers working in a lime quarry, hauling rock, breaking it down. And remember those trees we saw getting cut down? That wood isn't just set dressing. It's fuel. Here's the process, and the movie actually shows it correctly. Limestone is heated and burned at extremely high temperatures using wood as fuel. The heat transforms the limestone into a fine white powder. That powder, that's lime. Mix it with water and it becomes a paste that can be used as plaster. And that plaster was used on Maya buildings, temples, palaces, walls, and other structures. That bright white finish you see on Maya ruins today, this is how they made it. The movie is showing an actual Maya construction process, step by step. And then there's a detail people almost never notice. The women in this scene, their clothing isn't 100% textbook accurate, but it's close. You can actually see the research. Wrap skirts, woven patterns, clothing that resembles what Maya women wore. So here's the moment to pause and give the movie some credit. Apocalypto gets a lot wrong, but this scene, this is the movie doing its homework. Real technology, real materials, and a surprisingly accurate process. Now look closely at this scene. We see Maya crops that look completely devastated, barely able to produce anything. And this is actually where the movie touches on something very real. The Maya were heavily dependent on agriculture, especially maize. So when crops failed, entire communities could be pushed toward hunger and disease. But why were the crops failing? One factor may have been the enormous demand for lime plaster, which was used extensively in Maya construction. Producing lime required burning large amounts of wood, and large-scale deforestation leads to climate change, and climate change leads to long periods of drought. Less rain meant less water for people and crops, leading to food shortages, disease, and on top of all that, Maya city-states frequently fought one another, disrupting agriculture, trade, and political stability. The movie gives us just one clue. But when you put the pieces together, you start to see the bigger picture. A civilization under enormous pressure. Now, let's see one of the most horrifying scenes in the movie. Jaguar Paw and the other prisoners are dragged into the Maya city. They have no idea what's coming. Their bodies are painted blue, a color with deep ritual meaning. Something is about to happen. The women are pulled away, sold into slavery, forced into labor and separated forever, maybe. The men keep moving, deeper into the city. Toward the temple, as they climb, they pass paintings, murals, carvings on the walls, images of human sacrifice. And that's when it hits them. This is why they were brought here. Now comes the moment the whole movie has been building to. One by one, prisoners are dragged to the altar, held down, their chest is cut open, their heart is ripped out, while they're still alive. Then they're beheaded. Their bodies and heads are thrown down the temple stairs one after another in front of a screaming crowd. And here is the reality check. This is supposed to be the classic Maya civilization. But what we're watching, mass executions, hearts cut out on this scale, blood and bodies piling up, that's not something the archaeological record supports. There's no evidence the Maya ever practiced sacrifice like this. Yes, the Maya practiced human sacrifice, but usually on a much smaller scale. Their rituals were mostly bloodletting, piercing the tongue or skin, and offering the blood to the gods. Sometimes children were sacrificed too. Why? They believed it kept the gods happy. And with crops failing and food running out, keeping the gods satisfied wasn't just belief, it felt like survival. But cutting the heart out of a living person in front of massive crowds again and again, that's not the Maya, that's the Aztecs. The Aztecs are the civilization famously linked to large-scale heart extraction as a ritual, not the Maya. So why does the movie do this? Simple, it's dramatic, it's terrifying, it grabs the audience. But in doing that, the film blends two completely different civilizations, separated by hundreds of years and hundreds of miles, into one bloody spectacle. Now it's Jaguar Paw's turn on the altar. This is it, the moment he's been dreading since he walked into that temple. But then, something happens. The sky starts to go dark, a solar eclipse, the priests stop, the crowd goes silent, then erupts. They believe it. They believe the gods have spoken, that the sacrifices worked, that the gods are finally satisfied. The killing stops. And here's the fascinating part. this moment isn't as far-fetched as it seems. The Maya were exceptional astronomers. They tracked the movements of the sun, the moon, with incredible precision. They could predict solar eclipses well in advance. So a scene like this, it's actually one of the more historically grounded moments in the whole film. Jaguar Paw and a handful of surviving prisoners are dragged to an open field. This isn't a ritual anymore. This is a game. The Maya warriors line them up and force them to run toward the jungle for target practice. Nothing more than that to them. Jaguar Paw takes a hit, but he keeps running, and in the chaos, he kills the chief's son. Now it's not a game anymore. Every Maya warrior in that jungle is coming for him. But here's the thing. This is Jaguar Paw's jungle. He's known it his whole life, and one by one, he starts turning the hunters into the hunted. He drags a black panther into their path, and it takes one of them down. Another steps where he shouldn't, and a snake finishes the job. Then hornets, a nest, disturbed on purpose, chaos, pain, confusion. And then, the man who killed his father finally catches up, face to face, one-on-one, and Jaguar Paw gets his revenge. Even the chief doesn't escape. He falls into one of the famous tricks in the jungle, a tapir trap. Finally, Jaguar Paw reaches the shore. Only two men are still chasing him. And here, after everything, the movie takes its biggest turn yet. Spanish ships, sitting right there on the shore. Now wait a second. Jaguar Paw is living in the Maya world around 800, maybe 900 AD. How is he seeing Spanish ships? Because the Spanish didn't arrive in the Maya world until the early 16th century. That's a gap of over 600 years. The movie basically takes the collapse of the classic Maya world and places the arrival of the Spanish right alongside it. That's not a small historical error. It's the difference between medieval knights and iPhones, and somehow Apocalypto puts them in the same afternoon, which is not possible. But in Hollywood, everything is possible. And that's where we're going to end this story. Because despite all the inaccuracies, Apocalypto still gives us something fascinating. It takes us deep into a world that feels real, brutal, and unforgettable. But now, you know the difference between what Hollywood showed you and what history actually tells us. This is Screen versus Reality. Movies explained, history revealed, truth uncovered.